Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vegas Cubing Cup Spring 2025. I'm Matt Rosman, joined by my co-host Keaton Ellis here on CubersLive, presented by SpeedCubeShop. Keaton, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Good. Glad to be tuning in for the afternoon of this competition. We've got one-handed round one coming up and then a nice stack of finals for this afternoon. We just saw a couple of nice solves just before getting on stream here by Max Park in 4x4. So really starting off at a nice brisk pace.
Absolutely. Now, Keaton, explain this a little bit for some of the viewers who aren't as familiar. So this is a bit of a special event put on by SpeedCubeShop, and it's a point-based event that goes throughout the year. This is the second year, I believe, that they're doing this. Kind of break down how the scoring system works a little bit.
Well, I have not actually been to one of these competitions out there, but I do know that there's essentially one competition for each season. So right now we are in the spring one here in May, and then there'll be another one in August, another one in November after that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just looking at the chat here already. Got already a few particularly excited people. This Beast Cuber guy has been typing in all caps the whole time. Anyway, I'm going to stop yapping. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get down to business as we take you to one-handed round one here at Vegas. Nobody up yet. Keaton, let me ask you, who are you thinking is going to go really far in this particular event?
Well, for one-handed, there is a clear favorite at this competition, and that is going to be Max Park. We've been informed that Johong's son, who's registered on the psych sheet, is actually so far not in attendance at this competition. So Max at this point is going to be the favorite by almost 2 seconds over Jeremy Boulembeau, whose 10:21 average is definitely an outlier in terms of his best. So aside from Max, Jeremy, Dan Tran, Anthony Telford, these are the types of people that you would expect to be coming up here and potentially getting a podium.
Of course, with Max as well. I mean, anyone competing against Max Park is going to have a bit of a hard time trying to top that. You know, Max, one of the best in the world, one of the most versatile when it comes to end-by-end cubes, even in one-handed, still a beast at this event. A PR average of 846 for him as we look here at our first competitor.
Yeah, Max, of course, having won one-handed twice at the World Championship and has multiple North American and national championship wins there as well. Not sure who we got here in one-handed right now, but there's clearly a lot of table abuse. Table abuse is something that's been really coming into vogue recently. I guess in the last 5 years at this point, when it comes to solving real fast. Aside from,
so I don't mean to interrupt, but when you're saying it, you know, it's been coming, you know, it's in vogue. I think that it's been, you know, kind of the one of the more preferred methods for OH solvers at this point. I mean, even last year when I was covering this same event, as we see a 43.7 on this particular one-handed solve, even last year we were seeing a lot of table abuse, even from Max. You know, Max, like
Max is the original table abuse guy.
Potentially the king of abusing the table. I mean, you know, as a strategy, I think it makes, you know, sense when you have a limitation only using one hand, when you can use the surface of the table to really help you out. But it's almost becoming like, you know, so indispensable to OH solving that you don't really see people, you know, not doing it.
Yeah, so I guess the only person at the top level that you'll see really not doing a lot of table abuse will be Patrick Ponce, who also has one of the few people with the sub-9 average out there. Patrick, of course, also a former world record holder for one-handed. He does not do a lot of table abuse. He and I share that in common. But of course, Max does it a lot. Our current one-handed world record holder, Lou Garrett, does it quite a bit as well. So you see quite a bit of it here, especially on this F-perm.
Yeah, and I have Anthony Telford here. – pretty solid 13.28.
Yeah, white perm is not one of the worst PLLs to do one handed. Somewhere in the middle.
I think I want to go back to the point you were making with table abuse, and specifically with Patrick not using it. I mean, I think that's just because Patrick's been around. He's been in this
Yeah, he's
game.
old.
Yeah, Patrick, I'm sorry you're old, uh, but but he's been in this game for a long time, right? Different generations adopt different strategies, different solving styles, and we're just in a generation now where table abuse is kind of like the only way forward. I mean, looking at how it's helped the top solvers, and like Garrett and Sean Patrick, and Narcher, and all these guys, it's just it's a generational difference.
Well, Rue has essentially a necessity to use the table because you're going to use the table to hold the right block while you're doing L6E. So that's one of the reasons why Rue has been incredible as a one-handed method, because you essentially get 1.5 hands, and because the solving style is really conducive to doing a lot of RU and M, and of course this would include wide Rs and things like that as well. But that's not that difficult to do one-handed. So I experimented a lot with doing Rue one-handed myself. I ended up more or less switching back to CFOP um, just due to being faster with it and not having enough time. But yeah, Rue definitely needs the table and is able to make maximal use of it.
Yeah, Anthony's second solve here seems to
This
be.
is
Yeah, this is 16.84. There's it's looked to be a little bit of hesitancy there.
yeah, it looked like he was trying to tell what the 2GLL was on that one and then mess it up. And then the Soon ones, even I don't know the Soon ones. For those, I just go straight into a Soon and then get whatever um, nice 2G or EPLL. So once you get Soon, just go through it. It's much, much faster.
Someone in the chat just said faster than my normal 3x3 time. So I, I I just want to say as well, can just show on the chat here. How many of y'all are actually at the comp right now? We're looking at a multi chat of a few different streams. How many of y'all are actually at the comp? Shiloh, I know you are. Is there anyone else in here? Is Max just secretly lurking in the chat?
Actually, you could see Max in the background of that last shot. He's helping out scrambling. It's
Oh,
good to
wow.
see Max, and you can see his parents. Mickey's on the right here, and Chuan is in the back left, helping out, doing some judging as well. So the whole Park family's getting involved and helping out at these events. That's great to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Still waiting for our next competitor here.
I see down in chat someone coming in from Australia, someone from Switzerland. This is definitely an international group.
This is internet. We're getting some information that we may have missed a solve from Anthony Telford. We'll get that put in when we can.
He's got a 13. He's got a 16 so far, plus whatever we might have missed.
I don't know if you heard that. Someone asking to be put on stream for their last solve.
Ooh, that's a lot of F moves coming from this competitor. F moves are the death of you on one-handed. You want to try to maximize the amount of R and U moves that you do. And rotations are undesirable, but not really the end of the world. Yeah. Just one of the reasons why ZZ was considered one of the premier methods back in the day, because it took advantage of that. Now, ZZ, of course, has problems with, in general, not having a very good start, but it did take advantage of the nice turn speed in one-handed. You got a little bit of a celebrity here coming up.
Oh, see, Soup Timmy setting up. All right. If he doesn't get sub 15, I'm unsubscribing. Oh, that's you know what? That might be a little bit too much
That would
pressure.
essentially be PR.
All right, yeah. Come on, Tim. PR or I will unsubscribe.
That is a rough
Yeah.
OLL.
It's
Looks like directly
20.1.
behind. Yeah, that was a decent. That was a decent execution of that OLL, but the J perm, which is one of the best PLLs for one-handed, you saw him lock up a little bit there. Anthony behind, also looking like he got a 17. That means the 16 is going to be counting. That's not impossible to podium, especially at sort of a local event like this. Right now on the psych sheet, there's a big gap between Anthony and then who's currently 6th on the psych sheet, Jaden Thompson. But yeah, Anthony would definitely want a couple of nicer counting solves in order to feel a little bit more comfortable. That said, of course, this is just round 1, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. I think we're gonna be we what I just love with this cubing stream, and then like half the chat I just saw is specifically about Soup Timmy enjoying ramen. Now I don't know, I don't make the stats, I don't make the fun facts for these competitors, but I don't know how essential that is to the lore of Soup Timmy.
Well, oh man.
We're really mining for content here, people. We're
Welcome to Group
we're waiting
1.
for Max and Jeremy.
Yeah, welcome to Group 1.
Yeah.
I like these sort of simple facts like that. It's adds a little bit of flair, a little bit of personality.
Let's see. One of the organizers here, Preston, with a 1905. Uh, yeah, Yihang is not here. Timon is not here. This is a much more local event, closer to the West Coast, closer to people really in the Vegas area and surrounding areas. The algorithm alchemist is asking to be noticed in exchange for subscribing. So, yeah, if you better subscribe to us now. I've called you out. Let's see. I mean, I think if I remember from the last time I did this, because last time I commentated was actually last year's autumn event, where we saw kind of a legendary battle between Jeremy Bullenbot and Max Park. And
For one-handed.
no, not one-handed, not one-handed. No. If it, I can't remember if there was one-handed. If there was one-handed, it would probably be a Max Park wash. Let me actually. I don't think there was. Speaking of Jeremy, he'll actually be showing up in the next group here. One of Arizona's top cubers, famous for something that I often talked about: the magic fedora that at least was on his head. Nicknamed the cubing fedora. We'll see if he brings that to the table here today. If that's a good luck charm, if that affects his center of gravity. Just let me actually look here. Yeah, no, there was one-handed. There was a one-handed at the autumn one last year, and it wasn't a total beatdown, but Max Park did handedly beat Jeremy and Dan Tran in that event. I mean, again, like I said, Max Park's so versatile when it comes to this stuff. When it comes to end by end centered events, you really have to bring your, not even your A game, you got to bring your S tier game coming in and trying to compete with him.
Yeah, especially when it comes to consistency at one-handed, Max is one of the best. And he's able to very consistently pump out sub 10 averages and sort of low nine, some sub 9 averages out there as well. So, um, other, okay.
We're going to be taking a short break here, apparently, and we'll be back in a moment.
Hey, we are SpeedCubeShop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone, beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup speed cubes. Our team of experts will dial in your speed cube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Wanted to discuss some of the earlier events in the day. I want to start off with this just because this is a big upset. So square one, only one round of it today. Dan Tran, kind of the overwhelming favorite here. 628th in the world. His next closest, Zach Rubio, who ended up winning this event, 1011th in the world. And Dan Tran didn't even make podium. I mean, I don't know if this is shocking to any of you, but to me, this is a really shocking result. Jeremy in third, Shiloh in second, and Zach Rubio in first. Keaton, what do you make of this?
Well, given the speed of these competitors, it's likely that they don't use cube shape parity, which will help smooth out inconsistency in averages of square one, where you always get to avoid the parity algorithm by figuring it out in inspection. And that means that square one, much like 4x4 or 6x6, is an event that has an enormous amount of variance due to the fact that some competitors may just get unlucky and get lots of parities and others may not. Now, once you get to cube shape, then your parity is known. So if you have the exact same approach, then that means that everyone will have the same parity count. But at this level, also, it's unlikely that everyone is doing the exact same solution. And so you're going to get this variance where, you know, even if you get the, if you take a look at the best solves, a 1223 by Dan is approximately what you would expect sort of as one of his better attempts. It may simply be due to the fact that he got more parities that'll get him to miss the podium. There also seems to be some good performance by both the second and third placers, Shiloh and Jeremy, coming in with PRs here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I want to turn our attention to, main event 3x3. We've only had one round of it so far. Max Park, obviously, taking it there. But just like last time. Just like last time I was here in fall of last year. See how how kind of close Max and Jeremy can get. In these events, it seems like you know just as Max has a really great boost when it comes to pressure, seeing that he counted a 621 there, it seems that Jeremy in these higher pressure events seems to do a lot better. And to me, you know, these 3x3 results thus far don't really stray too far off from and even there with Jeremy, with that DNF certainly hurting the average a little bit. But I don't know. I think this is going to be very close down the line. At least I think so. But we also know that Max could just turn it up and really put on a show and put on a clinic here today. So we'll have to see what happens when the next 3x3 round comes in. I think, yeah, that's actually going to be after this next group of OH solvers. So once that finishes up, we'll get back into 3x3 and we'll see the battle likely between Max and Jeremy. Potentially some others working their way in there, but Keaton, to me, this seems like a 2-horse race.
Yeah, and in particular, Jeremy's got 5 consecutive, and now with this first round, 6 consecutive sub-7 averages, including getting his PR last week of a 6.02. So he's very, very close to that sub-6 mark, which I looked up and can't believe that that's only 82nd in the world. But the fact is that, Jeremy essentially on a good day and Max on a bad day are at about the same speed. So there is some overlap. This is not going to be, in Kentucky Derby language, Max is not going to be able to run away with this one until they actually go and run the race.
Oh, quite a bit of cheering going on there. Okay, apparently it was just random cheering there. Group 2 of OH is just being called up. We're going to start that soon. I forgot that the Kentucky Derby was today. I don't know. Is that running right now, or when does that run?
I actually don't know.
Can we broadcast? Can we just pirate the Kentucky Derby stream and just broadcast that for our own gain?
It's apparently supposed to start at 6:57 p.m. Eastern, which is in 15 minutes. So you have not missed anything yet.
You've not.
Journalism is a 3-1 favorite, but hasn't run on a wet course before.
He is a 5-1 favorite. Unless the odds changed. Unless I don't know where you're getting your odds at, but
I get my odds to NPR.
5-1 favorite. So we could see journalism PR tonight here at the Kentucky Derby, and oh man, I don't know about any of that. I don't care about any of that.
I feel like Kevin Harlan right now. I'm calling both games.
I'm calling both games. Yeah. Oh man. How much would we have to pay to get Kevin Harlan to do a cubing stream? We should get hey Manu. Manu's watching over us right now, giving us inner feedback. We should get Kevin Harlan to do Worlds. We should get him on the commentary. I'm not paying for it. We need NBA level commentary at Worlds. I think that would be a really great idea.
Yeah, just so that chat and everyone listening as well understands what was going on there. In our headsets, we hear Manu, and as soon as Ross finished saying stuff, Manu instantly was like, "If you're paying for it." There was no pause.
Look, Kevin Harlan, Kevin Hayes, get them both together. Greatest commentary pairing ever.
I think it'd be great.
Still waiting for our next OH solvers. Get rolling here. All right.
Jeremy coming in onto the stream here on blue. Looking forward to seeing some good solving here. 10.21 average That is PR for him. His
Now,
second best average is 11.4. So
we should expect a bit of a solid competition here from Jeremy. A bit more of a gap between him and Max, in my opinion, than in the 3x3, but still quite a bit of competition that these two can have.
oh,
It's not off to the best start.
yeah, you could see there that near
14-6.
the end of that, near the end of F12, you could see that there is a green-yellow edge up on the top layer, and so something that gone wrong during cross. It's not a terrible fix, but you know, any sort of mistake like that, and you're going to be falling behind.
Especially when you're in competitions like this, you want to make sure that you limit mistakes. You know what your ability is. You just have to limit those mistakes that can cost you 1 or 2 seconds, because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, exactly. This competition, though, does have a second round of one-handed. So all these competitors need to do is make sure that they get to the top 12 in order to advance. On the psych sheet, that's 1872. So none of the people that we're sort of profiling right now are going to be super concerned about making that threshold.
We're looking at Connor J. De La Cruz right now. And a bit of a big day at the Nevada State Championships. Oh, 22.5, not exactly going to be enough to make the cut here. He's going to definitely need to turn his game up a little bit. That's Shane Grogan here.
Treasurer of West Coast Cubing. He's the one that makes sure all these competitions run smoothly and, in the black, so to say, throughout the entire year. Does cross on top. Shane, you've been cubing for longer than that. But does that nice sledgehammer insert in order to avoid a .oll, but a very unfortunate last layer otherwise.
Still, a 17.5 might be good enough to squeeze by here if he gets lucky.
Yeah, Shane, I think is slotted for the final round. That's not a big problem for him. This is Shri DeCharla. He is 8th on the psych sheet with a 17-16 average. Unfortunately, starting with a 23. A WOL is not too bad. And then A-Perm is one of the better cases, although that's kind of an awkward AUF that he had to deal with there at the end. A-Perm is one of the algorithms that you're able to double flick on, which is really, really nice for one-handed. You don't lose too much speed relative to two-handed. Jeremy here off to a nice start right now. That's a lot of rotations, and that F moves are a little unfortunate. Looks like he's recognizing the ZB.
Wow, solid OH solve there, 1177.
Yeah, so ZB translates fairly well to one-handed as well. You have a couple of awkward turns, but not too many of them, and you can use the algs. You can prioritize algs that have quite a bit of RUL going on, or RUD, so the loss isn't too big. And then the reduced move count is really nice, especially when you're going to be at lower TPS in general. Oh, that is going to give you a diag case, and that is very unfortunate.
And Connor with a 25. Go back to Shane Grogan here.
I see we have some Shane fans down in the chat. This is a decent start, and this is a good set of F2Ls.
Solid 1602 there from OG Shane Grogan, who I believe, if my sources can verify this, he was at the last PSL Premier Speedcubing League event, correct? Yes, he was. He was one of the judges there.
And Shane looks quite dapper in a suit.
Absolutely.
To remind people.
I think that's what we need to bring that back. When Shane Grogan gets in that suit, it's like a superpower for it. It's like him putting the S on his chest and saying, "I'm here and I'm here to stay." Now, whether or not that translates to better solving, I don't know. Certainly interested to see what Jeremy does here. Jeremy definitely, Jeremy definitely trying to maybe squeeze a sub 11 average out of this potentially. Definitely going to be some hard work here.
This is good.
Ooh, a 970 from Jeremy.
Yeah, that was very nice. Very clean F2L. And then that was one of the better 2 GLLs. It's just a pair of Soons.
And Shree with a 1577 here, definitely starting to recover from that initial 2320. Shane back up here. The interesting combo I'm looking at with the outfit. I'm just trying to see how the outfit is affecting his solving. He's got a sweat jacket, a zipped up sweat jacket over a button down shirt, it seems. Certainly not a fashion combo that I've seen before. It's a purple button down.
Shane with the very famous purple only profile picture on Facebook, gracing Cubix's friends since the early 2010s. Has not changed it once as far as I'm aware. That was a nice little keyhole thing that he did right there. Also down in chat, I did see a question about whether or not this is going to be only one-handed for the entire stream. The answer is no, but we are in one-handed round 1 right now. So that is going to be what's on stream for the moment. This is group 2 of 3 for a 3x3 one-handed round 1. The group after this is going to be the fastest group, and it's going to contain Max Park. So you'll be able to see some of the fastest one-handed solving, not just in the Vegas area, but around the world. After this, we're going to be moving on to 3x3 round 2, and then that's our last preliminary round before we start all of the finals. That's a good solve by Shree right there.
Down to a 14-1. Again, continuing this very nice trend that we're seeing. Getting better and better each time. Maybe you just need to warm up as we go back to Jeremy here. The 1009, you know, he's definitely shooting for that sub 11. And there you go. BPA of 1052.
Yeah, that wouldn't be PR for him, but that would be PR2, which is always a nice thing to get, especially since Jeremy's one-handed average. It's been a little while since he got his PR. It's been over a year in January 24. So it'd be nice to get close to that again.
Go back to Connor here. Connor definitely needing a little bit to recover here. Well, when I say a little bit, I mean he's kind of going to need a bit of great solving here.
This is a nice cross.
Pretty steady solving here from Connor.
And that, instead of giving him an N perm this time, should be giving him a U perm for the exact same OLL. So that's a nice finish there.
And 25-1 still definitely going to need to really clutch up at the end here. We go back to Shane. 1646. Just for reference right now, we're slowly getting data getting put in from the earlier group. The data is a little bit delayed, but as of right now, Soup Timmy leads with a 1987 average. Certainly that's not going to stay that way. Yet, literally, as I say that, Preston Schwartz is now the leader with a 1947 PR.
Shout out Preston for helping organizing this.
We'll see who actually ends up at the top here in a little bit. Jeremy looking at his last solve here, seeing if he can secure a sub 11 average. Sure, he got an 1852.
That's a nice J
Jeremy
turn for
here.
the last solve.
What time do we have for
1060.
Jeremy? A 1060.
Nice. That's a nice sub 11 average for him.
1082. Great job for Jeremy. Certainly going to be feeling very happy about that going into this next round. And I mean, we're slowly going to, I mean, I always like seeing upsets. I think everyone does. But Jeremy definitely seems to be on his A game today, getting that sub 11 average. You have to wonder if that momentum is going to help carry him into the next round and hopefully get a podium, if not winning the whole thing. But
yeah, I think
it's going to be a bit of a difficult thing. We'll have to see how Max Park's first round turns out as well.
Yeah, I think a 10 average is absolutely definitely going to podium. I think it'll be a little bit tough in order to win with a 10 average if he is able to repeat his performance in the next round. But at the very least, getting a set of good solves like this, although honestly, having a counting 11.7, especially if Jeremy feels like he's averaging a little bit closer to low 10 here, that's going to be a little bit frustrating. So whenever I would get an average like that, like 14, well, I'm not that fast. But 3 good solves, 1 decent solve, and then 1 bad solve. I always wish that I'd be able to go back and change one of those first 2. But it's good to see that he's doing fairly well, and of course, we're just in the first round.
Absolutely. Just to provide some results that are coming in here, Jaden Thompson with a 16-16 average. Anthony J. Telford currently leading the pack. Well, at least with the data that we have. Realistically, Jeremy's probably got it right now. I highly doubt someone got faster than a 1082, but with the data we have, Anthony with a 1444, Jaden with the 16-16, Preston, Timmy, Vincent. I think, I don't know. Do we have a? Well, this is just the first group, correct? This is just first group that we're getting in right now. And we'll have more groups coming up after this short ad break. Don't go anywhere because Max Park is coming up next.
CubersLive is your home for all things speedcubing. From exclusive interviews with top cubers and personalities,
Dylan Miller,
Maddie Nava,
Tommy Cherry,
to highlights from major competitions such as US Nationals, North American Championships, and the WCA World Championship, to podcasts you can listen to while commuting, studying, or even cubing, and of course, live streams from all around the Western region. If you'd like to support our efforts to make speedcubing exciting and accessible like never before, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the broadcast.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. We are just about to get started with one-handed round one, group 3. So Max Park's in this group. We're going to be seeing him here on the blue stage. And then over on the red stage, we're going to try to get Dan Tran onto the stream. Dan, one of the fastest cubers from Arizona. And then at this competition has an 1160, or in general has an 1167 PR average. So we'll get them here in just a second. Just catching up with chat here a little bit. We see a couple of time zones out there. It is currently 4 p.m. here on the west coast of the United States. This is prime cubing time. For those of you over in Switzerland, I thank you for staying up late. And over to those of you in Brisbane, Australia, good morning to you over there. I guess happy Sunday. Here, I think this is Shiloh. This is not Dan Tran. So we have Shiloh coming up here on the red stage for this first solve. Shiloh doing white cross here. Ooh, doing not too bad of a solution right here. Oh, there goes the cube. But able to recover fairly well. And a 1791. Those are the types of times that you'll expect to make the next round. That's not a big problem. We have a 1727 here as well over on blue stage. Trying to squeeze together a little bit those center caps. Some of those cubes definitely feel them falling out a little bit. And we're going to stay right here on the blue stage. Max is heading on over to blue stage station 2. Max, of course, no stranger to the stream right now at this 846 average officially. Multiple time world champion. He's won it twice in one-handed in 2017 and 2019. Famously, he won 4 through 7 in one-handed, but did not podium in 3x3. Of course, able to come back and win it again in 2023 after taking 21 off due to COVID. Max, mostly a color neutral solver, but definitely biased towards white and yellow. Here we're going to be seeing a green solution from him. This is a decent solve. That is an unlucky last layer case, one of the worst that I would gander, but a J-perm is not too bad. 1121 is definitely not the type of solve that Max is going to be looking for here, but of course you can always make that solve not count, because of course we do averages of 5 or the best and worst time. So dropped. Taking a look over at Shiloh here on the red stage again. This is a decent solution, and that is a nice. Oh wow, impressive! That's a nice last layer case right there. One of the TOLLs, and then a Z-perm to finish things off. Good use of table abuse right there to do all of the M moves instead of doing an RU alg. I actually am a fan of that as well, especially for the H perm, where none of the RU algs are particularly good because they just take an enormous amount of moves. We got Dan Tran over on the red stage right now. On the psych sheet for this competition, I believe he's third. Of course, not counting Jo Hong Sun, who isn't competing today, with an 1167 average. One of the fastest cubers from Arizona, also doing red here. Nice. Doing a extra fancy insert in order to orient all the edges. I'm not certain how nice. I mean, it's a fancy trick, but I'm not certain how much that'll really speed things up. Here, though, it does give him a nice 2 GLL, a couple of Soons, and a 1340 solve. We're about to tune in here for solve number 2 of Max Park. Of course, 1122 on green on that first scramble. Not the best OLL. but a J perm to finish things off. Max, of course, one of the most prolific users of table abuse. Green looks nice. Red looks nice. I think he's looking at green right now. Does do green. And able to cancel in the T-perm from OLL. Much better solution right there. 8.94 seconds from Max. Switching over to Dan Tran here over on the red stage. Definitely color neutral. Went red and is now doing blue. Taking a bit of time to recognize the ZB, but does he know the case? He does. Of course, it comes with a 17-second time. But, some of these local events, especially in the first round, when you know you're going to be able to make it to the second round, barring some catastrophe, it's worth it. Practice your Alex, kids. We've got a San Diegan up on stream right now for Robbie doing some one-handed. Waving a little bit to the stream. This is actually quite a good solution. Although I think a little hard to see right there. I wasn't able to fully catch it, but it did look like he might have had an edge in a corner. Ooh, that's unfortunate. U-perms are supposed to be the cases that you like to get. It did look like he had one edge and one corner flipped. Those are one of the nice cases where it's pretty easy to recognize what's going on, and you can sort of do a pseudo slot there. I presume Max is coming up on 2 right now as well. And so we've got Max and Dan essentially going almost simultaneously. So we'll head over to Dan for a second while Max makes his way over. Yeah, Dan's starting this time on white, the standard color. This is a nice solve, and our perm is not a bad case.
12-6.
Yeah.
Looked like some of the turning there was pretty fast as well, even if it didn't generate, the fastest result that we've seen here today.
Yeah, welcome back, Roz.
Sorry to the stream. I got hungry and I didn't want to be hangry on stream, as we see Max here already just showing why he's kind of the king of the table abuse. 953, proving that same table abuse does in fact get great results, although that's also just Max himself.
Yeah, 953, I would say, falls squarely under a decent solve for him. Oh, that's unfortunate, and that is not the V-perm that I would be using for one-handed. Shiloh with the style finish. Robbie coming in here as well. Trading off with Max's hot seat here on the blue stage. Now, going to local competitions with people like Max and, and other places, people like Timon and Young Wong, it's got to be the same type of feeling where a New Yorker feels when they walk by the Empire State Building on their way to work, or someone in DC when they drive by the White House on the way over to work, which is what my brother does.
Notable difference, Keaton. You can actually talk to Timon and Max. You can't exactly talk to the Empire State Building or the White House.
Oh, this is fair. But you get that
At
up
the
close
Empire State Building,
exposure.
as you know, a non-living entity. As we see Dan here on his next solve, still with a bit of a fast speed, but little hesitancy there. Yeah, it's
that looks like just the. Well, that looked like it was supposed to be the OLLCP or the COLL. He just DNFs it.
It's DNF. So he realizes that he's kind of fumbled the bag there. So we see Max going in on his next solve. Bit slower than the last one, and 12:31 for Max Park.
That's a bit unfortunate. Max coming into this with a nice sub 10 average streak on one-handed. Hasn't gotten a 10 average or slower since August. But it would essentially need BPA in order to keep that streak right now.
I mean, when you're talking about Max and these streaks, you know, it is that consistency. I mean, Max Park probably, you know, whatever kind of Keaton. None of you can who are watching can see it, but I just saw Keaton pull a particular face at this solve. Keaton, what's going through your head right now?
So to try to give some constructive criticism, one of the hardest things to do in one-handed is to do Fs, because you need to essentially hold the back of your cube in order to be able to do the move with your thumb. It is much, much faster in order to do a rotation and to be able to do the move either as an R or an R prime, depending on exactly sort of which direction you have. So for that competitor that we just saw before, Farabi here on the blue stage, my recommendation would be to do a little bit more rotation in order to take better advantage of the moves that your left hand is sort of naturally more comfortable doing.
Here's Max Park coming back up, ready for his last solve, trying to continue, as Keaton said, a streak of sub 10 OH averages. We'll see if he can pull it out here.
Looking on the white. Ooh, that was a nice. This is a good solve.
Ooh.
That's also the bad OLL he had earlier, but he's able to execute it much better than before. But unfortunately, it's a 10 average.
Is not going to claim that sub 10.
He is still going to beat Jeremy, though. Is actually just less than a tenth of a second slower than Jeremy's PR. But things are a lot closer one-handed than actually I was expecting coming in. So
exactly. And I think it's continuing this trend where, what were we talking about earlier? Or what did you mention earlier? You said Jeremy on a good day and Max on a bad day, their times start to get a little closer than you might think. So we're definitely going to have to see how it plays out in the next round of this event, as well as in other events, especially 3x3.
Exactly.
But from what I can tell here, it will be Max Park taking this first round here with a 10.29 average, just ahead of Jeremy at a 10.82. And I believe, thanks to Dan's DNF with his last solve, Anthony J. Telford is going to be third in the first round. So we're still waiting on a few results to come in, but I definitely think, as I was saying before, this is a two-horse race. It's Max or Jeremy, Max or Jeremy. That's all going to come down to who's having a good day and who's having a bad day.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
All right, we're going to take another short ad break, but coming up, it's 3x3 round 2. We'll be right back.
CubersLive has recently opened memberships. Becoming a member gives you a fun badge next to your name on Livestream chats, and you get access to some exclusive members-only videos. Joining the membership costs just $1 a month, and we'll use those funds to upgrade stream equipment and hardware, make more exclusive cubing content, and just generally push the envelope of cubing media. Joining the membership is not a requirement by any means. You can still enjoy our content right here on YouTube for free. But if you do want to support us, you can hit the join button next to subscribe on the CubersLive YouTube channel. Thanks everyone, we appreciate your support in making events like this happen.
Welcome back, everybody. Matt Rosman, joined by Keaton Ellis here. Vegas Cubing Cup Spring 2025. We're going to be getting into round 2 of 3x3. We're going to have Max Park coming up in a second, as well as Connor J. Delacruz, who, as we've just learned, is the Nevada State Champion this year in 3x3. Now, he didn't place first at the event, but he was first in Nevada competitors, so we'll have to see if he can bring that same level of intensity to being, right next to Max Park, one of the best in the world.
Not only is he a Nevada State champion, it was also his PR average in that final round. So, however you may feel about state championships, there's still a lot of pressure, especially for the local guys. So, being able to get a PR there, especially by over a second, is very impressive.
Absolutely, but it remains to be seen if he can bring that same level here. Maybe the pressure of events like these, where there's more at stake. As we know, at least last year with the Vegas Cubing Cup, after all 4 editions of it happened, there's money on the line here. There's a lot on the line here. It's going to push people to be greater than they think they are and they think they can be. So we'll have to see what happens between Connor, Max, Jeremy, Dan, everybody here. It looks like we're going to be getting started in a moment here.
Decent amount of background chatter as well. 3x3 round 2 is definitely one of the more chaotic times at local competitions, especially from personal experience. This is usually the first round of the day where you have no sort of judges, scramblers, and runners assigned at the start of the competition. So you need to make sure that people are checking either competition groups or you're sending email blasts out. But there's a lot of moving parts, especially at a local competition.
Absolutely. Keaton, I'm confused. Let me get this to the right side. Hold on, wait. Let me try and get this. I'm trying to point at the cursor that's on screen right now. Yeah, I don't think that's part of the event. Yeah, the cursor is now pointing to SpeedCubeShop, who is sponsoring the event, sponsoring this stream. Best website, best platform for all your cubing and cubing accessory needs. Okay, so we're just getting word now that Max is going to be in the next group, not in this first group here. So we'll see who we have instead. So we're going to have Jaden and Connor on one side, and then Shiloh and Zach on the other side.
This is definitely the meat of 3x3 round 2. These types of competitors have PRs in the 8-second range and sometimes 9-second range. And for a top 16 at this competition, anything sub 10 on the psych sheet will get you there. So essentially, these guys are in don't mess up too bad kind of mode.
Slow Cuber, yes, we are reading chat. Hello to Declan the Cuber. Anyone in chat, who do you think is going to end up taking 3x3? Do you think anyone besides Max is going to take this event? We're not in finals yet. This is just the second round as we see Dan Tran coming up here.
Dan, one of the faster competitors here with a 7:53 average. Because Johong is not here, he would be slotted third on the psych sheet for this event. Tied with Shri. Dan also color neutral here, so you'll see him do a bunch of different colors. This is a decent solve.
With a 797, not bad. Not bad at all.
Gigon Jagon01 down in chat. We are in Las Vegas for this competition. Wow. Roz and I are casting this remote, but the competition is happening in Las Vegas, which is in the Western time zone or Pacific time zone in the US. So currently it is 4:23 p.m.
Well, someone just said Keaton is that you were going to win 3x3.
Nice.
Keaton, your response. Could you hold it down against any of these competitors here? Could you hold it down against Max Park?
Well, years and years and years ago, I was in the same 3x3 finals at US Nationals as Max Park. And I have shared a podium with him at a Nationals before. It was just for one-handed. But at that event, actually, Max did get first. So I think my days of beating Max Park are unfortunately behind me. Max has been able to maintain and improve upon his world-class performance over the past few years, whereas I still average approximately the same as I did 10 years ago, which is just over 8 seconds. But I'm happy to be in the commentary booth, and I'm honored that people will think I'll be able to win 3x3.
Someone said, which one's Keaton?
Well, I'm not actually at the event, so you won't be able to see me competing today. The next
is commentating, yeah.
Yeah, the next competition I'll be going to.
Yeah, the menu is demanding that Keaton do a solve live on stream while we are broadcasting this event.
All right, let's see what I can do. I'm just hand scrambling because I'm lazy, but I have a timer.
All right.
I will start inspection and I'll put it down to be able to do this in the air.
Keaton looking pretty intense here as he goes in for his first solve. Bit of a slow turning speed there.
Not bad.
Oh.
Old man still got it.
Remarkably, hold on. I mean, if you average that, yeah, you'd be ahead of Zach and Connor and Shane. Oh man.
So I know I'm an old man because instead of I say my wife is down in chat right now saying that 10 years ago is 2015, which was the year that I got almost world record back in those days.
So typically comps like these do run a little faster. However, we only have one runner for each side. If you just heard a comp trying to get some more people, volunteers, runners. We see Dan coming in here for his next solve.
But we are able to get people up here on the stream eventually. This is a decent solve.
The 692 from Shiloh there.
Pretty
Shiloh's
impressive time.
PR an 884. Certainly hoping that he can keep that pace up going.
That's actually PR single for Shiloh.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah.
First sub 7. That's always a nice thing to beat.
Well, massive congratulations to Shiloh there.
Connor here on the blue stage.
$891 for Connor, kind of sitting just above potential PR average.
That's a very unfortunate F perm. Oh, Boos, BOOS on the display for Shiloh right there, counting 8 flat. And honestly, given some of the times that are coming out of these competitors, they're not, the best times that they've ever gotten, but they are definitely faster than average. So scrambles don't seem to be too bad. Dan, oh.
We've kind of, looking at the one-handed solve where he DNF'd as well, it seems like Dan's hands, they don't have enough grip today for some reason. He seems to be throwing around the cube a bit more than obviously he'd like to.
Yeah, those drops are always very unfortunate. Taking a look at Zach right here. Ooh, that's a lot of moves there on that F2L solution. Throwing down those headphones in frustration. He was potentially on track for PR if he was able to make that 904 not count. But yeah, his BPA is not even going to be close. It's going to be in like the 8.7 range, which is still a good average for him, especially since his PR is 863. But he's going to have to wait to PR until the next round, potentially.
Connor coming back up.
That 863 was set last weekend as well.
Ooh.
A lot of people coming off PRs last weekend. Oh,
tragic for Connor. +2. Wait, a 681.
Shiloh counting a 692 and an 8.0. Whatever that last solve is.
Wow. Shiloh having a bit of a monster round here. We'll have to wait for the average on WCA Live, but certainly looking to be a great round here for Shiloh, potentially a PR average.
It's unless he's really going to be scrubbing out the last couple of solves, it's almost guaranteed. Accounting 6.92 and an 8 flat means that, I mean, he's really looking at anything sub 11 is going to get him a PR average. Of course, getting a 10.99 would not be the ideal thing. It'd be nice to drop it all at once, but
here comes Dan Tran once again.
Dan already counting a 9. That's going to give him diag.
961.
Yeah.
Capital High, Max's average in round 1 was a 593. Connor coming back up, trying to recover from that +2 from last solve.
First results from round 2 are starting to come in.
Yep, we see Zach Rubio had an 874 average.
That would explain why he was pretty upset on the last one. We missed his first solve, which was an 833, meaning that essentially anything sub 860 or 870 would have been PR for him. Shiloh, I presume it's on last solve. He's talking right now, which means that this is not good. Couple of big pauses to start things off. Looks like he's messed up cross as well initially. Oh, no. This is more or less the worst case scenario.
And we can't see the time? Oh, a 12:23. Wow.
That's rough.
That is a rough potential last solve there for Shiloh. Dan Tran coming in for his last solve. Hoping to make a bit of an improvement. From 768, he gets the BPA with an 887.
Not bad. Clearly not super happy with that average with the counting 9.6, but also not great cases there at the end. GC Perm is personally my least favorite PLL. It takes an enormous amount of moves, and you don't have a lot of consistency on it as well. I don't know anyone who's able to do it very, very quickly. And back in the day, the videos were if you could get a sub 1 GC Perm frame counted, you were good, which is just, it's so hard to do. So a bit frustrating for him.
Absolutely. It's got to be frustrating for him. We go back to Connor De La Cruz here.
Shiloh counting an 872 as his first solve, though he missed off stream with a 788 PR.
Yeah, even with that 12:23, I mean, still nearly a 1 second PR improvement there for his average. He's got to be feeling great about that.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of those when you average 8 seconds. Just sort of by how the math works out.
Connor with an 11:49. So looks like we are going to be wrapping up our first group here of 3x3 round 2. Certainly some pretty notable results already. Of course, Shiloh getting a PR average of 788. We'll have to see what happens in the next group. But I think that Shiloh in this first group has definitely taken control, barring any surprises that show up on the WCA live page. Going into this next group, though, obviously you've got Jeremy and you've got Max. You kind of got the two, biggest winners or losers here in this competition today.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. We've got Max Park coming up.
Hey, we are SpeedCubeShop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone, beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup SpeedCubes. Our team of experts will dial in your SpeedCube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
Welcome back, everybody, to Vegas Cubing Cup Spring 2025. Matt Rosman joined by Keaton Ellis. And, just in a couple months from now, the WCA World Championship is going to be taking place in Seattle, Washington. I'm going to be there as a member of the production team with SpeedCubing TV. If you are not subscribed to them, what are you doing? I love plugging one channel on someone else's channel. Yeah, Keaton, what are you looking forward to most about Worlds this year?
Well, there's the personal side and then there's the spectator side. For me, 12 years ago was the last time the United States had the World Championship in Las Vegas, and I did not go. I was just coming out of high school and just starting to cube, and so I didn't have enough oomph in order to convince my parents to go. So I'm very happy to be going to the World Championship. It's also the first one that I've been to since 2019, and I'm also going to be part of the broadcasting team. So Rosman will be behind, or sort of behind the camera, and I'll be in front of it. So
who are you doing?
Looking forward to working with you guys
who are you broadcasting with, Keaton? Who else is doing commentating?
Yeah, we got a great group of people. A lot of people from the U.S. We have Kevin Hayes, who's moved back to Seattle. He's sort of heading things off. And then from Canada, we have Alyssa Esperaz. She's going to be our host and sort of main person doing on-field interviews. And then in addition to that, I'm going to be part of the team with Manu, who's currently doing production for this stream here in Vegas. He's on the ground. And then also we have Michael Tripodi and Zach Rydell. Michael, of course, from Australia. Zach from the East Coast of the U.S. Shout out Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And then also we've got a couple of Brits who are going to be helping us with some statistics. We've got OJ Wheat and Eleanor Sonat. And I think I've named the entire team on the stream team side. Manu, in my ears, if I missed anyone, please let me know. Awesome. Manu has confirmed that I've got everyone.
Disappointed that we won't have Chris Mills on a commentary, but he's probably got better things to do than.
Well, if you take a look at the people that are casting, half of us are sort of washed up old men who no longer have a chance at winning anything. But I think I do still know a lot, and I'm hoping to broadcast that to people at the event. From a broadcasting standpoint, I'm really excited about looking at some of the people that are coming out of China right now, because I've never had an opportunity to see them, because some of them weren't born the last time I went to a world championship. So Wang Yiheng and Chuan Yugong, those are the two that I'm really excited to watch solve. There is this YouTube video of Yiheng doing these solves where there was a 240 frames per second camera filming him.
Yeah.
And I was literally watching it at half speed and was like, this is how fast I turn. And so I love watching fast people solve in real life. The first time I saw Felix Zebdegs do solves in real life, I was just blown away. And so I'm really excited to watch some of these kids. They are the future of cubing, and I'm really excited to see how well they perform. I'd also love to see Max try and maintain his world champion status. Of course, that was a very close final in 2023, and so it'd be very interesting to see whether or not he'd be able to maintain it. This is a nice solve by Shri.
705 there.
I think he missed a fairly easy ZBLL on that one. It was lefty wide sexy sledge into a clockwise U-perm. You can do L prime U2, L U2, and then you can finish off with the winner variation in order to do that case. Also, Jeremy with a 636. So I'm sitting here talking about a 7 as if we're not seeing 6s on stream. It's very impressive stuff coming out of people right now. Still yet to see one of Max's solves.
Oh, here he is coming up. for his first solve in this second round. Max Park de GOAT.
Sponsored by Prime, which I always find very interesting. I don't know if you've seen the Logan, I think it's Logan Paul interviewing with Kevin Durant,
No, I
saying
haven't
how
seen that.
yeah. So the interview is Logan Paul saying to Kevin Durant on this podcast that Kevin was the second most exciting person that Logan had signed to Prime, and the first was Max Park.
Nah, that's
Yeah,
actually
it's
crazy.
it's a hilarious clip.
As boy, 498 from Max Park, coming blazing out of the gate here. Again, just Max Park officially more exciting than Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and
You are
you can
seeing a
see
true
why right
athlete
there.
here. Yeah, you can see why. Kevin Durant can't solve under 5 seconds. Seeing Dominic Shoji come up. His first solve.
He looks nervous. Yeah, he's really nervous.
819. Do you think those nerves might have played into that solve time a little bit?
The only thing that nerves do to solve time is make them go up. When you're shaken, especially since cubing is something where you really get in the zone and not everything that you do is super conscious. When you are thrust into a high pressure situation and suddenly everything becomes conscious, it becomes really difficult to perform at your top level. So the fact that he was getting a solve,
Ooh.
a little pop off by Shri right there. The fact that Dominic was able to get a solve that was underneath his PR average. That's a very good thing. Shri right now counting a 705. Remember, he has a 753 PR average. So that 705 early is going to be very good for him. Jeremy starting right away here on solve 2. 636 on the first solve. Ooh, does look like he had to do a little bit of something with cross right there.
598 was that solve for Jeremy. Got cut off a bit there.
Fairly good. We're going to take a look at Max's solve on that same scramble that Jeremy had just done. Max, is he looking at red or is he looking at white? Looking at white, I presume. Looking at red. Okay, this is not something you see every day from Max Park.
Interesting. 734, yeah, you don't see that a lot from Max Park either.
It's the area code for my old phone number. Shout out Southeastern Michigan.
Wait, 734 area.
734 is like the Ann Arbor area.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, that's like 313 or 248.
313 is Detroit.
Yeah. Dominic coming up for his second solve here.
Oh, Dotto alone. It looks like it's going to give him diag as well. Oh, no, G-perm, but the drop. Oh, the painful drop. I sympathize.
You see the look on Dominic's face there. He knows those nerves, that frustration is definitely starting to show up a bit. That's kind of the last thing you want if you want to advance further in this competition.
8-7 is not a bad time, though.
No, not at all. But you get the impression that he knows that he can do better.
Absolutely.
We
got Shri here going. Remember, he's a counting 7.0 with a 753 PR average.
Ooh.
Not a terrible solution. Yeah.
Jeremy with a 568. Whoa.
So he's a 568, 598, 636. He is on track for PR average right now. BPA here would be PR, but it would not. It would not be. It would be 6.01. It would be PR by 0.01. It may be 6.0 flat. Oh, oh man. I mean, still always good to get PRs, but
that fourth solve is going to turn out for Jeremy. Dominic coming back up here. Also got Max Park coming up here as well. Dominic with an 856. So we see Max go in on his next solve. Hoping to recover a little bit.
This is nice.
Smooth 505. That's what you want to see from Max Park. Definitely happy to be counting that. No, Alex, there's no Megaminx at this comp.
Nice little opportunity for someone to get on the stream here. Oh!
And a tragic +2. We've had multiple +2s already, and this is the first one where we bring it out. We bring out that graphic.
That's the look of a person who's thinking in his head, the only person you can blame is yourself.
Yeah.
I've been there. I sympathize. Tree here.
Tree
Hoping for
again.
a good solve. Oh, that's a crushing solve. Oh my goodness, that would have been PR average without the +2. Oh man, that would have been like a 7.4 average.
Here's Jeremy now. He's 648.
Oh man,
and even with that 648, he's still Jeremy. BPA, as you were talking about a little bit ago, Keaton, 601. So he has a chance to remarkably BPA by 1/100th of a second.
Yeah, he can which PR, I think but he won't be able to get sub 6.
I think it would be very funny if he manages to do that. It would be sad, but it would be funny.
I mean, PRs are PRs. I'm always happy to get one. I haven't gotten a PR average in 5 years, and I haven't gotten a PR single in 8. So, I would be very pleased with either of those.
Here's Max now, solve 4.
Looking at switch and cross color. That's not a good sign. This is an incredible solve.
Wow.
Oh, what a terrible lockup.
Oh
my goodness. He spent more than 10% of that solve locking up on a G perm. Oh my gosh.
Still got a pretty comfortable lead here. 581 WPA, but a 502 BPA.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. That GA perm.
Let's see if Jeremy can BPA here.
Switching cross color as well. Not a good look.
And you see a 574.
I'm not certain what happened.
but there's something odd that might have happened. Delegate coming over. See what happens for Jeremy here.
It might be same scramble. Oh, that's crushing for Shri. Oh my goodness. Without the +2, it would have been a 7.4 average. Now it's a 7.0, 8.1, 9.0. So it's like an 8.0 average. Yeah. Oh, it's Bob. 8.08. Bob. Yeah, he's explaining it's the same scramble. I mean, we can check back on the stream.
I don't know if fortunately we don't have replay, so we can't see if we have the same scramble or not. Certainly, if that is the case, then we're going to see Jeremy go back at it here and try and get a BPA. We see Max Park coming for his 5th solve. Got a shot to get a bit of a monster average here of a 5.02.
Yeah, this would be a good average for Max.
I mean, it's a good average in general, but good, especially for Max. This is definitely going to be, if he manages to do it. See,
that's unfortunate. He did Sexy Sledging to end perm right there. Ton of moves.
Little unfortunate, but nonetheless, still a really solid showing for Max Park. A 5.30 average there, which certainly, that's worlds ready. That is, maybe not winning, but a 5.30 certainly.
5.30.
That could podium.
Well, I just took a look real fast on Yiheng Wang's profile, and he's had
wait, when's the last time he had a
15 averages in a row that are below 5.30, and the average that he didn't get sub 5.30 was a 5.31. So if you discount that,
podium,
it's been
not winning.
Yeah, Wang Yiheng is so fast.
Jeremy here. Okay. All right. Jeremy gearing up for his last solve here.
I have no idea what's going on. I see it. They're checking scramble.
Still waiting to see what exactly is going on here. Just for reference, right now, before any new results have come in, obviously we know Max is probably first, but Shiloh with a PR 788, Zach Rubio with an 874. Others qualifying at least right now to move on to the final include Jaden Thompson, Connor J. Delacruz, Preston Schwartz. Definitely a bit of a loaded field here.
Well, we're waiting for Jeremy's last solve. Presumably, he's getting an extra.
I mean, I would hope so. Certainly seemed like a bit of issues going on with Jeremy's last solve there.
Yeah. So, this process of getting an extra solve, especially if you have a competitor who says they get a same scramble, like the ideal thing would be for the competitors to stop instantly, like while they're inspecting the cube, and just bring a delegate over. In this case, what it seemed like was that Jeremy alerted his judge instantly that he thought that it was the same scramble, and then realized that during the execution that yes, it was, and so instantly called a delegate over, which I think would be second best. He's telling the judge, and he's getting an extra attempt here in order to remedy that. check his results here before. Yeah. Okay.
And
So
860 with the +2.
So unfortunately, worst possible average here for Jeremy. But just to finish off that train of thought right there, as a delegate, once you have a competitor who does let you know that there's something wrong, then what you want to do is try to verify this. So you can give a competitor, especially if they have some sort of footage, an extra very easily if you can just guarantee that they are the same scrambles. If not, then if I remember correctly, it's more or less up to delegate discretion depending on whether or not they believe the competitor did it in good faith or not. And then this is sort of competitor specific at that point. So, you want to make sure that you provide competitors with the opportunity to, air any concerns that they may have with duplicate scrambles. But you also want to make sure that you're not letting someone, if they see a scramble that they don't like, call a duplicate and try to make something up. So you try to walk a nice line there.
Seems like the one-handed finals are going to get started here in a little bit. All the data hasn't been updated yet for 3x3 second round, but it does seem like the top three are Max in first, Jeremy in second, and Shiloh in third. Certainly Shiloh definitely putting his best foot forward, but obviously still following. It's the Max and Jeremy show pretty much. But even with Jeremy, doing as well as he's been, like Max, it's going to be hard. It seems like Max is having more of a good day than a not good day at this point.
By the way, the competitor that we're seeing on the stream right now is doing beginner's method last layer with corner twisting and getting some pretty decent times for that. Beginner's method will often go up to 200 moves per solution. And so the TPS, if you're just doing the math on that, is actually pretty good. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. All right. We are going to be ready going over to an ad break. But when we come back, we will have the 3x3 OH finals. Don't go anywhere.
CubersLive is your home for all things speedcubing. From exclusive interviews with top cubers and personalities,
Dylan Miller, Maddie Nava, Tommy Cherry,
to highlights from major competitions such as US Nationals, North American Championships, and the WCA World Championship, to podcasts you can listen to while commuting, studying, or even cubing, and of course, live streams from all around the Western region. If you'd like to support our efforts to make speedcubing exciting and accessible like never before, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the broadcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to be getting ready for 3x3 OH finals. As you can see, the results in the first round here. Max Park, Jeremy Bullenbot, definitely, leading the pack here. It'll be exciting to see who else we're going to get here. Who else could podium? But I think this is pretty clearly Max or Jeremy taking this event, as we see Max Park coming up for his first OH solve.
This is definitely a 1-2 punch here. Max, I think, is the favorite of the two. Of course, it's not hard to figure out why once you take a look at his resume. A couple of world championships. North American champion last year in 3 through 7, and has more world records than most cubers have competitions.
Taking a good bit of inspection time here. $868, not bad for a first solve.
Yeah, Fat Soon into GA Perm is a nice combination one-handed. Dan right now also with a decent solution. Knowing the ZB. 1, 2, 4, 8. Nice little powers of 2. Climbing up there. Max, for the record, his PR average is 846. He set it down in Alabama in February a couple of months ago at a visit to Auburn University.
Anthony Telford coming up here.
Representing New Mexico, looks like, with that shirt. I actually like that shirt quite a bit. Chad is asking whether or not I've seen his 4x4 one-handed solves. Actually, the very first solve I saw by Max Park was a post on Speed Solving Forum of Max doing a 4x4 one-handed in like 40 seconds. Maybe 45. And that is how I first learned of Max Park.
Anthony with a 1341.
Yeah. This is back when like 45 seconds. It would not win your local comps. Ooh, this is a nice 2 GLL. Bit of a sus execution there, especially with the U3 prime on that. But not a bad time by Jeremy.
Max coming up for his next solve. Certainly, if he keeps up this sub-9 pace, kind of going to be near unstoppable to take down Max Park like this. See what happens coming into his second solve here.
There's a lot on this scramble. What is he going to do? Is he doing orange or is he doing white? I presume he's doing neither. He's doing blue. How silly of me. Not the greatest last layer cases, but not a bad solution.
Still a 908, yeah.
Yeah, that OLL. Max has gotten it a couple of times today. Soon into F-Sexy F Prime, it's like all of the moves themselves are fairly good to do, but it's just a lot of them. And so it just takes a lot of time to do no matter what. Dan doing an alternative algorithm that's going to avoid doing the wide R2s a bunch, but still a 15.
Anthony Telford going to be coming back in a second.
I see Shane Grogan sitting behind. Shout out Shane. Shout out to all of our delegates at this competition today, including Manu, who's currently behind the camera. Yeah, Anthony on the exact same thing. Looks like he didn't do anything with that blue-red pair, but still not a bad solution.
14-16 there. Gonna have Jeremy coming up.
A lot of table abuse here. That's going to give GA perm. Honestly, one of my favorites.
10-22 there.
Down in chat, asking a question about underdogs at Worlds. I think Max Park is an underdog at Worlds. For those of you who have only been paying attention to the Western cubing scene, this may sound ridiculous, but Chinese cubers are incredibly fast. And in fact, the top 3 in the world right now are all Chinese. So I honestly think Max would be considered an underdog, but as the most likely American, although I think Luke and Maddie are fairly close as well. And I'll obviously be rooting for him. But we want to see a good competition. This is not bad. Almost seamless transition between F2L4 and OLL.
86. Definitely aspiring.
We're in territory where it's likely he'll get a decent average, but it's very unlikely he will PR. He would have accounting 8-8. His accounting 8-8, and if he gets sort of best average from this point, he would also have an 8.6. So in order to get an 8.4 average, you'd essentially need to count a 7.4, which is very, very hard. Am I doing my math right? No, you need to count a 7.8. Okay, that's a little less hard. Chat is saying Timon is third. No, Timon is fourth.
Yeah, Timon's fourth.
It's Yiheng Wang, Chuan Yigeng, and then Yufeng Du, and then it's Timon, and then it's Ruhang, and then it's Max.
Here's Jeremy back up again.
Same scribble that Max just completed. Looks like he's going to be shooting for yellow here. This is pretty good. He does do. Ooh, that was nice.
Whoa, 9.26. Bit of a smooth execution there.
Yeah, so Jeremy was able to take his fourth pair and do a fancier case in order to orient all edges, and just happens to get an anti-soon as his last layer. Pretty clean solution. Right now, all of Jeremy's solves are at or below his PR average. So he was looking at a 10.4 better to get PR, which seems fairly doable given his performance in the competition. And it's a bit unfortunate to have counted at 15 for Dan, but you go to enough competitions, you're going to have really good ones, and then every here and there you're going to have really bad ones. But the hope is that they sort of average out and you end up doing okay. So this is a decent last layer for Dan. Counting at 12, 15, I've been there.
Here's Anthony here.
Couple of 13s, not bad.
Not bad, but definitely kind of primed for Max to take this event.
This is a very interesting solve for Jeremy. 10.4 or better gets PR. Essentially, anything sub 10, like 9.8 or better, is going to be a sub 10 average, which is a huge barrier.
See what he can get here.
This is an okay solution, and not a great execution there on the OLL.
Oh, 12-8.
Of course, everything is still in play. Can still get sub 10 with this last solve, but you have 2 chances. You had 2 chances, and now you have 1. So makes things a little tougher.
Comes Max once again.
A lot of things in the realm of possibility for Max. Max staying pretty consistent here, looking like he's looking at white. This is good. This is good. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
He did do the ZB, though.
An odd solve, but still staying below 10 here. Dan 11-6.
All right. Yeah, Dan getting a 12-12 and then a 15. It always sucks to count that 15, but on the reciprocal side, you count 2 12s. So.
Anthony Telford coming back up once again.
Moving to Jeremy real fast. This is a very crucial solve 5 right here. I don't think so. Oh, and this is a nice 2GL as well. Oh.
So Jeremy will WPA with an 11.03. Definitely not happy about that. Anthony with an 11.6.
Oh, 11.6 is not a bad solve for him. In fact, it's not PR single, but it's still pretty good. Dan and chat, we got predictions of Felix Zemdeg's winning Worlds with a 498 average.
Stop the cap.
I'm a bigger Felix stan than anyone in this chat, and have been for longer than some of the people in chat have been alive. But I would Felix's PR is 553, and it's been that way for quite a few years now.
Yeah, no disrespect to Felix, but like Dylan Miller and Luke Greiser have a much better shot of winning Worlds. And all three of those guys do not have a chance. Oof. Little rough, but still not 931.
Pretty solid average for Max.
It's a 908 average for Max Park. Really solid performance. Yeah, I think he's got this event in the bag.
That's my last official average on 3x3. So this solve is pretty crucial right now. If Anthony gets PR or BPA here, which he's going to give himself an EPOL.
Ooh.
This is really close.
We'll get the official word in a second. And Dan Tran is going to take the third here with 1338. and then Anthony with the 13:43. So Dan Tran taking the podium here in OH by 0.05 seconds. Certainly a bit of a close race down the stretch, but there you have it. Your top three, Dan Tran in third, Jeremy in second, and winning it with a 9:08 average is Max Park.
I mean, pretty impressive stuff out of Max right there. It really puts on a clinic. Even as we saw the one where, it looked like it was sort of going off track a little bit. It's still a sub 10 single. So very impressive stuff. Really unfortunate by Jeremy. We've seen in back-to-back rounds now, Shri DeCharla in round 2 of 3x3, +2ing out of PR average. Now Jeremy right here. He +2 that last solve, but you go in with a 10-0, 10-2, and then a 9-2. To walk out of that with an 11 average is always very frustrating.
Absolutely. Well, congrats to Max winning the OH event here at the Vegas Cubing Cup. Coming up in a little bit here, we're going to have the finals for 4x4. Don't go anywhere. You want more Max Park content? Better tune in. This is Vegas Cubing Cup Spring 2025.
CubersLive has recently opened memberships. Becoming a member gives you a fun badge next to your name on Livestream chats, and you get access to some exclusive members-only videos. Joining the membership costs just $1 a month, and we'll use those funds to upgrade stream equipment and hardware, make more exclusive cubing content, and just generally push the envelope of cubing media. Joining the membership is not a requirement by any means. You can still enjoy our content right here on YouTube for free. But if you do want to support us, you can hit the join button next to subscribe on the CubersLive YouTube channel. Thanks everyone, we appreciate your support in making events like this happen.
Welcome back, everybody. We got the 4x4 finals starting. Take a look at our first round results here. Some notable PRs, especially from Dan Tran. Although I think this event, more than any other, is where Max Park kind of has an insane difference and an insane advantage. This is definitely an event where, if Max doesn't win, go buy a lottery ticket because something crazy is going to happen.
Yeah, I hate to break the script on anyone, but Max will win this event. I mean, it would take a double DNF essentially for him to not. This is not knocking any of the other competitors, but rather a statement on how good Max is at big cubes. So
can't see Dan Tran's time yet. 30:52 there for Dan. As we see Jeremy going in on his first solve.
And then behind Max at this competition, Dan is the likeliest person to get second place. He did get a PR average in the first round. Nice little drop by almost a second. Although he did get beaten by Jeremy on this very first solve. 4x4, of course, for those of you who are less initiated, is an event that has a lot more luck than 3x3. The reason is because of parity. There are two cases that don't come up in 3x3, but they do come up in 4x4. And if you get them, they're bad. OLL parity will increase the time of your solve by about 2 seconds. PLL parity will increase the time of your solve by about 1 second. And they are almost completely random. So there is quite a bit of luck involved. Now, there are some methodologies that people have generated in order to try to make them more consistent. In particular, you can try to avoid OLL parity by figuring out the cube state in inspection. But this is hard, and it's sort of deemed at the top level that, for the most part, you don't do it. So you just go with the noise. Max here, seeming to avoid OLL parity, but did seem to get PLL parity there. And, this parity, by the way, is something that actually has real consequences in national and world championships. So for a couple of examples, and 4x4 at North American Championships last year, Max ended up getting 8 out of the 10 possible parities you can have in an average of 5, and subsequently lost to Timon Koloshinsky by almost 2 seconds back then. To go way back into the archives, in 2017, Bill Wang from Canada got second place at Worlds in 4x4 after more or less being someone who would be considered lucky to make finals, because he got 0 out of 10 parodies that round, whereas some of the people who were favorites to podium there, like Felix Zemdegs and Max, way back in the day, had a much worse time. Shane, of course, here getting OLL parody.
Yep.
Speak of the devil.
Jeremy coming in on this solve.
And the mark of OLL parity is, sometime when you're done with the first 2 layers, you instantly start seeing wide arm moves go through with 2 of the layers going. It's OLL parity, and that you just added 2 seconds to your time there. So Jeremy coming in with a couple of 27s to start. This is very good for him. His last round average, he got a 32. His PR is 30:15. Which is a bit unfortunate, just above 30 seconds. Same with our treasurer here, Shane Grogan. Shane's PR average, 30.06. killer.
And certainly you're going to see Jeremy in these next few solves when he gets back. Definitely, he's going to have that sub 30 number in mind. It's like, okay, what's the next barrier for me to break through as a solver? That sub 30 barrier is really huge.
Yeah, and he just failed the sub 10 barrier for one-handed with that unfortunate last couple of solves. So it'd be nice to get some consolation prizes for that one. Dan with OLL parity again. Currently he's 2 for 2 on that. But nice little ZB. Bringing it back to a 25.
Gonna have Max Park coming back here in a moment. Here he comes.
For competitors at the top level, you really like to see a transition from the first part of the solve, which is centers plus yaw edges, into centers very quick. And then you'd like to see the flip up to doing edges at about 8 to 10 seconds. That's going to give you a good time. Look at those centers for Max. He does green, blue, white, and yellow for the most part for Yao. And so a green center almost completely done immediately is very nice. That was not a good pause, but he did flip up at about 9 seconds. Max, of course, has blazing fast 3x3 stages, one of the fastest out there for 4x4 solvers. And he's able to show that right there. Max able to do 8 edges plus 3x3 stage in 10 seconds. Granted, he does have a cross already solved, but still, incredible stuff out of Max. This is Jeremy. I believe we're on his third solve right now. Jeremy's got 2 27s. You're going to be wanting to look for anything sub 30 here. So he's going to be a little bit slower than Max, of course, on all of these splits. But he's entering 3x3 stage. He has no parity or no OLL parity. Does have PLL parity. This is looking very good.
It's looking good for that PR that we were talking about before. He's got 3 sub 30s already. And
yeah,
it's definitely
he's laughing with his judge.
I mean, hell, he might get sub 29 at this rate.
Yeah, very good. So down in chat, there's a question about algs, whether or not you do parity plus OLL. There are a couple of algs that I'm aware of people using, but for the most part, you're not learning, parity plus OLL as an alg set. You just do parity and then see what your OLL is going to be and transition into that. And if you have a couple of options for what your OLL could be, because you can do parity from different angles, the parity algorithm from different angles, you try to generally pick the best one. Personally, if I see 3 edges oriented, I'll always make sure that the 4th one is in place. So I will always get a cross OLL, which is just easier to recognize and can potentially give me some more insight into what the PLL could be, especially since you can see things like corner permutation a lot more easily, and you could potentially influence it with something like COLL or ZB. But I always hesitate, especially for ZB recognition, because it's nearly impossible for me to figure out not only are all the corners in the correct place, but whether or not all the edges are in the correct place as well. So I tend to just do OLLs. Dan there with a nice little skip on that 4th edge. I'm not certain if that was intentional, but that does help the times a little bit. Nice 8 edges into 3x3 stage. No OLL parity this time, but of course he gets PLL parity. Seems to know a specific case, but still at 29. He's still behind Jeremy after 3 solves.
Wow. Max Spark coming back and hearing we were talking before this round started that it was really likely that Dan was going to claim second, but the way that Jeremy's been kind of cooking, he's cooking.
Max here doing blue again. That's a nice little flip time, just under 9 seconds, a little bit better than the last solve that he had. 3x3 stage at 14, which is very good. OLL parity does ruin things a little bit, but it's still going to be a 20-second solve.
I just want to give a quick shout out, by the way, before we continue here. In the 3x3 blindfolded event, potentially due to some extenuating factors, but nonetheless, Manu Singhal actually won with a 134 average in 3x3 blindfolded. So shout out Manu. Congratulations. You're the best blindfolded solver in the world. Who's Tommy Cherry? Who's Stanley Chapman? Oh, boy, 28-2 for Jeremy here. So that definitely is, yeah, that's going to lock in a PR.
Huge pop off right there, especially after failing one-handedly last round.
Guaranteed sub 29. If he does good enough here, he might get sub 28. Remember, Jeremy's PR was a 30-15. He has a chance, a pretty likely chance, I might add, for a 2-second improvement to his PR. He's got to be feeling great about that, especially if he can beat Dan in this 4x4 event.
Dan is having a heck of a time with parity. I think that's Ola parity number 4. No, number 3. This is solve number 4. And he's getting PLO parity as well. This is quite unlucky.
We're getting word now that Jeremy has locked in second place here after those last solves. So pretty remarkably, even though we were having a pretty high expectation of Dan Tran taking second after Max Park in first, Jeremy is going to take that second place spot.
There's some discussions on chat about sort of Max Park's 4x4 average being their 3x3 average. Back in the day, I used to try to benchmark how good my n-1 by n-1 was against Max's n by n. So my 4x4, his 5x5, my 5x5, his 6x6, so on and so forth. So I feel you on that one. These are good center. Oh, these are good blue-green centers. Blue-orange. Yeah, definitely does that. Goes directly into green. This is pretty nice, all things considered. That's a flip at just under 8 seconds. So about a second faster than the last solve. But these are not as good of an set of edges. No OLO parity, though, which is nice.
22.39 for Max Park.
Max unable to get a sub 20 average at this point, which is more or less the litmus test for what would be considered a sort of a world-class average at this point, or sort of a world's potential winning average. Maybe not.
Got Jeremy here in that 28-20. I just want to point out real quick that 21.37, that average, that WPA for Max. Yeah, we're still talking about world class. That would still be a top 10 4x4 average.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's still.
I take my comment back.
In terms of people, not results, but in terms of people, that would still put him ahead of Maddie's 4x4 average. Again, just shows you how dominant Max is at this event. Jeremy coming in.
Nice, no parity. Unbelievable.
A BPA 27.89. Jeremy can't believe it. Jeremy on absolute fire today. Gets a PR, a PR improvement of 2.26 seconds there from 30.15 to 27.89.
That's incredible.
You got almost, shockingly, he almost beat Dan Tran's PR average as well. Dan Tran at a 27.73 average. So pretty big jump for Jeremy there. He might have jumped, at least 150 spots, probably more.
Wow, Dan's getting so unlucky.
Dan Tran with the 3107 after a bit of an unlucky day finishes, I believe, in third. 30-32 average there for Dan Tran.
Cool.
See, Max Park can realistically just throw the cube across the room, and he'll have his he's already having a world-class average here. The difference is how world-class can he get it? Oh yeah, and the single too. He's got to beat a 1910 to get that BPA.
This is a good solve. That's a really good solve.
Oh my god! Oh my god! The 1656. That kind of single solve. Only 2 people in the world have ever gotten times like that, and those are who else? Max and Timon. BPAs with, what was that, a 2027? So remember I was saying that his WPA would have been better than Maddie's. Well, his BPA there was better than a Do Kwang Hung's average of 2037. Just, I mean, Max Park won 4x4. Okay, and that, like, what do you expect?
That's a good solve.
Just kind of not expected. I mean, obviously, okay, it's expected he's going to do great, but I mean, seriously, that media, what was that last solve that Max had?
1656.
It was a 1656. That, okay, so that is the that is just on results. That's the 6th best in the world for a single.
Not bad.
Not even like, obviously, in terms of solvers, again, that's a territory that only Max and Timon are really going to achieve, and really, until
really Max.
Yeah, this is really the domain of Max and Timon. Occasionally you'll have
Timon's only gotten 116. I mean,
that is
Max
true.
has of the 10 solves now that are under 17 seconds. Max has 9 of them. Timon has 1, and then the king of 17 seconds is essentially Sebastian Bayer.
Yeah,
so
but Max with a stellar showing here at Vegas. Again, already winning the one-handed, and now taking home the 4x4. Unless something magical happens, Max Park is going to have a pretty stellar day here at the 4x4 final. And let's not forget as well, Jeremy's PR here. I mean, what a performance! Getting a 27.89 average, improving your average by over 2 seconds, by over 2.2 seconds, I should say. Really outstanding stuff, really impressive stuff from Jeremy. And taking second above what was supposed to be a pretty locked-in spot for Dan Tran. And certainly, like, we saw some of this earlier with some of Dan's solving. There are definitely some tragic drops going on. You just think that maybe Dan Tran, kind of a little shaken up somehow. I don't really know how to describe it, but just he's not entirely there.
Well, you got to also take into account the luck difference that the two had.
Jeremy, absolutely.
So to talk about Jeremy first, I mean, great average for him. Breaking the sub 30 barrier, like getting a PR is good. Breaking the sub 30 barrier is incredible, right? That's one of the big ones that people target. And to do so convincingly is really nice as well, especially after having had that unfortunate last 2 solves during one-handed. But luck also factored in on the other end when it came to Dan's average. I can instantly recall at least 6 parodies, which is worse than average already. I'm pretty sure he had more than that. And it's like, can you tell which solve didn't have parity? Which one's a 25, and then which ones were all over 30 seconds?
Yeah.
So Dan got very unlucky there as well. And that's just, if you like the event, that's just something you have to take into account. You have to realize that some days, no matter how well you're solving, you're going to be stuck with 4 or 5 OLO parities, and your average just isn't going to be as good. I mean, that's something you have to sort of accept going in, and that if you wanted to do something deterministic with no luck involved, you probably should have been playing chess. So, cubing is a fickle beast, and 4x4 is one of the toughest ones in particular. 4x4, square one, and 6x6 sort of occupy this, I'm going to inject a bunch of noise into your solve kind of space.
All right. Well, anyway, that was 4x4 finals. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be coming back in a little bit after this break with the 2x2 finals.
CubersLive has recently opened memberships. Becoming a member gives you a fun badge next to your name on Livestream chats, and you get access to some exclusive members-only videos. Joining the membership costs just $1 a month, and we'll use those funds to upgrade stream equipment and hardware, make more exclusive cubing content, and just generally push the envelope of cubing media. Joining the membership is not a requirement by any means. You can still enjoy our content right here on YouTube for free. But if you do want to support us, you can hit the join button next to subscribe on the CubersLive YouTube channel. Thanks everyone, we appreciate your support in making events like this happen.
Welcome back, everybody. Got the 2x2 finals going on right now. 3x3 finals coming up next, and then FTO after 3x3. I guess with these 3x3 finals that are coming up, Keaton, what are you hoping to see? What are you expecting to see? You expecting any surprises, or are we just going to kind of be focusing on these same three, Dan, Jeremy, and Max going into this 3x3 final?
Yeah, I think those are of interest. Shri, especially with that average performance in the especially with his performance in the second round, it'd be really nice to see him get something a little bit nicer than an 808 average to show for his efforts. Especially since he had the very unfortunate counting +2, or sort of almost counting +2. So yeah, I'd be looking to see. I think it's primarily those four. I think Max is more than most likely to get first. Jeremy's most likely to get second. And there's really sort of a tighter race for third place, depending on whether or not people are able to pop off, like Shiloh Despine was able to do in the second round.
Yeah. Now, speaking of 2x2 here, we've got Dominic coming up here. Dominic, the highest ranked 2x2 solver, 116th in the world. It's been a bit of a slow day when it comes to 2x2 solving. In the first round, Jeremy Bolamot took first position with a 184 average. We see Dominic with a 202, though he doesn't seem particularly pleased with that. Really hoping to see some kind of real big pop off here, but don't really know. This is probably either Jeremy or Dominic's event to take, although we will see what happens as it goes on.
Yeah, 2x2 very famously is an event where you spend more time looking at the puzzle before you solve than you spend actually doing the solve. The event is essentially an event of memorization, in the sense that there is no at the top level, you should not be thinking during the solve. You should simply be executing the plan that you had set for yourself during inspection, and then the solve is done. So this is an event of how many algs do you know? And you'll see a lot of people write, I believe this is Alan Rivera Banyaga. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yep. Who is learn as many cases as you possibly can. Learn CLL, learn EG, learn TCLL, learn LEG or LEG, and you can do LEG1, LEG2. And then for all of these, also learn all of your AUFs and potentially multiple algorithms. And then there are even more things that even I'm not aware of at this point. So this is a memorization heavy event. For those of you interested, Zain Kanani on YouTube has a series of videos outlining his solutions to different sub-1 averages. I believe he calls them right now OO Wednesdays for objectively optimal. And he spends his time going through not only what he saw and the solution that he decided to do, but also what his solution should have been had he seen it. So this is also an event of really tight execution. And at the top level, competitors literally practice starting the timer and picking up the cube. This, of course, has led to some controversial incidents within the WCA, especially last summer. But the idea of practicing pickup has been something that's been going around for more than 10 years at this point. This is a nice scramble right here.
Speaking on a 2x2,
this is a nice looking scramble.
Oh, we'll get through this solve here.
Oh
no. Oh no.
Cube jumped, did the wrong CLL.
Oh, 729. Yeah. Also, I want to comment on Capital Pi in the chat said 2x2 is funny because I got the Nebraska state record single at my first ever competition, and it still stands to this day. It is 30% luck, 40% inspection, 30% memorization. So wait, what was that single time, Capital Pi? If you are if you'd like to share with the class.
Oh man, I made a blunder. There is no LEG2. EG2 has diet quarters. This shows how much 2x2 I do. Oh, I'm embarrassed.
It's okay.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Counting 7.
DNF there.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yes,
call
DNF.
a delegate, but knocking over the cube covers definitely DNF worthy.
That's pain. That's very painful. Thanks, Manu.
A 1.2. You got a 1.2 at your first ever comp? A 1.2 2x2 single? My God. He came to play.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Switching over to Jeremy now on red.
Jeremy there with a 1.84.
Man, it's really tough to focus on the rest of your average when you have a counting 7 and 2x2. Just
That's like
do your best.
Counting 10 and 3x3. I don't even know if that's enough to. Oh, and a 154. He's definitely going to need to kind of solve lights out like that the rest of the time.
Oh, I'm glad he's still smiling. Sometimes, especially if you're in one of these unfortunate ruts, it can really get to you. But glad he's still smiling. Shoot, I was mixing up Alex and Dominic. Alex is the one who. No, Alan. Alan's the one who had the cube knockover. It's a bit of a rough AUF there for Sri.
Is Dominic back up again? Still trying to continue his recovery from that counting 7. Excuse me. Yeah, 162. Dominic definitely recovering well.
Down in chat, I see Sam Deacon. Shout out Sam. Go Terps. Jeremy Balembo.
One-handed.
156. It's pretty good. It's like almost a dream competition.
Jeremy just running around the whole venue here. Now, wait,
Doing
hold
some
on.
calcs.
Wait, Jeremy has
169, 176.
He has a one. He just PR'd. That is a PR for Jeremy there, improving from his 180 average. So that's 2 PRs in a row now for Jeremy. Oh, 137, but that's going to be a +2.
And it's counting.
Oh.
Still pulling up the calculator. Tree with the 191. Down in chat, we got some support for the Maryland Terrapins, which is the college that both Sam and I went to. And which is
Someone said, "Who is Terp?"
And Terp is short for Terrapin, and Terrapin is the mascot. So Terrapin is a type of turtle. So we are the Maryland Terrapins, Maryland Turtles. The block here on green. I guess you can also do it on white. Ay. I see.
Jeremy and Dan having a little conversation there, friendly banter.
So shut up, Manu. As a delegate who's also watching the stream and running the stream, he's able to tell on the stream stations whether or not a duplicate scramble was given out, which helps speed up this process significantly. Capital Pi, yes, I'm that same Keaton Ellis. It's been almost 10 years. Actually, last weekend was 10 years since Colin Burns's 525, which I'm like, you literally see me in the video for it. And I look at that Keaton and I'm like, wow. I'm not old yet, but I'm much older than I was then. Tree with a little bit of a fist pump there. Nice little average finish off for him. We got that is a heck of a calculator.
He's got the extended calculator here.
I think that's a second PR. He 259 PR'd in the first round and 247 PR in the second round.
Yeah. Congrats to Shree.
Pretty good. As famous Maryland Terrapin Larry David would say. Pretty good.
Yeah, I think we've finished up the 2x2 final here. We're slowly getting some results in, so we'll report back to you once we got all our results taken care of here. But Coming up next, we are finally going to make it to our 3x3 finals. Max, Jeremy, Dan, it's going to be electric. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, we're your SpeedCubeShop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone, beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup SpeedCubes. Our team of experts will dial in your SpeedCube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. We got 3x3 finals, the moment we've all been waiting for. One thing that I really want to point out as we're heading into this last round, this final of 3x3 here, Dan Tran expected to be top 3, but all the way down at 7th. We might not even see him on the stream here. He's fallen that far. Definitely had a bit of poor showing, at least for what we know he can do in that second round. Hovering around the 9-second mark quite a bit. You really want him to improve that average. But as I've been saying, it's definitely been a bit of a wonky day for Dan Tran. We've seen a lot of mistakes, mishaps, bad luck. It might just not be his day. And it certainly seems like a day where someone like Shiloh or Shree could sneak into that third podium spot.
Yeah, luck's not on Dan's side today. Getting a couple of 9s counting is extremely rough. On the flip side, though, Shiloh just being here with this nice counting 6.92 is able to double PR here. Actually, PR'd essentially twice in 3x3 single with the 692 and then the 681. And then just behind him in 4th place, Shree to Charla, that average, 808, Bob average, is hiding a lot. That 9.02, that was a 7+2. That would have been Shree's PR average by about 1/10 of a second. So really unfortunate here. Shree's clearly capable of doing a little bit more as well. So, I'm expecting a little bit of a good showing here in 3x3 finals.
Wait and see what happens here in 3x3.
I see Dylan Miller in chat.
Dilly's in chat? Dylan Miller, wowzers. Yo, Dylan, would it be cool if I made a diss track against you? I don't know what stream you're on, but would it be cool if I made a diss track? I'm doing one for Greiser already. I'll do one over like a Drain Gang type beat. All right, Dan Tran coming up here for his first solve. Again, really wanting to improve on that second round average. You know he can do it.
Not a great scramble from what I can tell.
Definitely not a strong start.
Oh man. Wow.
Well, 1075. Dan's definitely going to have to be digging himself out of a bit of a hole here.
Yeah, this does not look like a great scramble, and that's a very rough start. Yeah, that looks like 2 Olos there for Shiloh.
Shiloh getting an 835. Also, okay. All right, Dylan. I'll get a Drain Gang type beat for your diss track.
I hear someone saying no in the background there. I'm not certain exactly what happened, but anytime someone says that, I know something a little bit rough just went down. Let's see how Max does on this scramble. Max is a little bit more flexible, although Dan is color neutral, so presumably if he's deciding to go with white, there wasn't anything better on another cross color.
Well, he might be color neutral, but he's still got a 10-second solve, so the versatility or not, it's not exactly what you're aspiring to have, especially
Max is
when
looking
you're
at the
trying to
cube
get
at the
max
exact same angle. That's nice. Yeah. Helps to have an
497
OL
for
skip from what I
Max.
can tell. Either that or an almost seamless transition between F2L4 and OL.
See Jeremy coming up here. Capital Pi, I'm not going to diss DG. I want to collab with DG. So we see Jeremy here with the 634. Solid time, but
It almost looked like he had a pause before doing the soon. Wasn't certain if he was looking for a ZB case or not. Looking at orange here, you might be able to make something out of that yellow blue, and looks like he does. CB here. Nice clean solution. Dylan helped me out here, saying there's a fish shape coming out of F2L4 for Max. Just a very clean transition between the two. If I'm seeing that correctly, it looks like Shiloh's got the Rubik's Pop figurine. It is a real scramble on that one.
Max now coming in for solve number 2.
Getting reports from production that the temperature has gone down a little bit in the venue. This is nice. Yellow. Max might be looking at orange. Okay, same sort of thing as Dan. Different orientation. Decent finish there. Jeremy on the same scramble. I'm going to do white or yellow here, so not doing the same as Dan and Max.
661 for Jeremy.
All right. Skip? No. Diag. Unfortunate. That's accounting mid-10 for Shiloh. Well, you can't get a PR every round. Dan here on solve 3. Since Dan's color neutral, will have a good look at the cross and color that Dan chooses. That'll help us inform what Max is going to do. There's that block on blue, yellow, orange. It looks like he might be choosing to go with orange here. Yep, goes with orange again. Still uses the RUDR perm for two-handed.
Wow. 10-6 for Dan Tran. Moving back over to Jeremy now.
This is a tough scramble. This is nice for Jeremy though, especially with the Fatsoon A perm. That's a good solution.
591.
All things considered, fairly relatively low TPS for Jeremy on that one. Pretty smooth solve. Max instantly looking at orange here, switching cross color again, switching to blue. This is okay. I think he might have missed because it was an A permit. It looked like there was a block in the back. He could have done a 9-mover COLL, like a standard COLL for that case, and skipped. But you know, at that speed, there's a decision between do you want to pause and look at the case, or do you want to just solve through? And there are differing schools of thought. I mean, if you take a look at some of the top solvers, I mean, Young mostly just solves through. Luke Garrett solves through a lot.
Yeah.
People like Timon will pause and will go and do the case. So it's sort of which strength do you play to? And it seems like in that case, you just play to the, turn as fast as you possibly can. And historically has been Max's strength as well. Dan right here. Looking at orange again. I guess. No, decides to do blue. I missed the cross on that one. But I mean, nice last layer. Soon U perm is about as clean as it gets.
755 for Dan Tran as Max makes his way back to the table.
Solve number 4 for Max. Already counting a 589, which means we're not going to see a sub 5 average here unless, we see some magic. Max flipping over the scorecard. Does not want to see how he's performing. Yeah, Max instantly looking at blue here. Completely locked in on blue. This is a good solve.
Wow.
That's really nice.
508.
Hey! I like that time. Yeah, shout out Slow and Steady, spring 2017. Jeremy here. Bit of a rough transition.
Oh, DNF.
Yeah, bit of a rough transition between F2L4 and OLL. And likewise, a similarly rough transition when finishing PLL. That one always sucks. Like if you're off by an AUF, at least you get a time. But with being off by a trigger like that, RU, R prime, for a PLL, you get nothing to show for it. Dan instantly looking at green here. He's got that pair orange-white on the right-hand side that he does preserve, and that's the first one he does. Lefty J perm. What a sinusoidal average. Up, down, up, down, up. That's unfortunate for Dan Tran.
It's a 932 average. See what Shiloh's going to do next here.
Going on to Max's final solve here. He has a 508 and a 589 that are counting, and a BPA range from his world's winning average to Felix's old WR single from 2011. So a couple of famous times on the board right now. Green looks nice. Max is looking at red though. No, looking at yellow. I apologize. Does the alternate alg in order to get he does the OLCP in order to get an EPLL and does a nice U-perm there. I learned that from Felix Zemdegs, one of his example solve videos from way back in the day. This is one of the cases where essentially if you have an OLL, you'll just force cross and then you'll be able to get a 2GLL from there. But since it's soon, you just do the F inverse XC into a soon and then you're going to get an EPLL no matter what. I'm glad to see Max doing that. Jeremy. You can hear Max over the mic, hot mics right now. Asking if things are done. $10.69, and I believe that's going to wrap us up here for 3x3 finals. I think it's a pretty clear ordering that we got so far. Max is going to be taking first place here. It looks like Jeremy's going to be behind him. Off screen, we see Dominic Shoji with an 822 average. That's potentially good enough. Ooh, and we're seeing results come in on WCA Live right now. And Dominic Shoji beating out Shri DeCharla by 0.01. Oh, that's always killer. Absolutely
Definitely tough result for Tree. So it's probably going to be Max, then Jeremy, then Dominic for your podium.
That'll do it. That's a bit of an unfortunate one. We're finishing off some of the stragglers down in the bottom left of the stream as well. Shane Grogan, shout out Shane, 944 average. We got a typo in WCA Live. We'll get that corrected as soon as possible. But Max's average shouldn't be a 591. That's 6.08. Should be a 5.08. So it should be a 560 average. We'll get data entry on that as soon as possible. You know, given the fact that they make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of entries into a computer during a competition, it's impressive that they only get 1 or 2 mistakes every single time.
Well, certainly been an exciting day of events here. Although FTO is going to be coming up soon, we are going to conclude our broadcast here on CubersLive. Again, want to thank you, Keaton, for showing up, and thank you to Manu especially for managing to both be a delegate and put on this broadcast and feed us all the information that we needed. And we want to thank all of you viewing on various channels across YouTube. It's been a pleasure, sharing this experience with you, watching this go down, seeing some PRs happen. But yeah, Keaton, do you got anything else that you want to say to the people?
No, it's been a great event. Thanks so much for having me on, Roz. It's been great working with you today. And this is just another competition in the books.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of CubersLive, West Coast Cubing, and SpeedCubeShop, I'm Matt Rosman, signing off with Keaton Ellis and Manu Singhal. This has been the Vegas Cubing Cup Spring 2025. Thanks for watching.